For days, no one in the world could die. Soldiers survived wounds that should have ended them. The sick remained trapped inside failing bodies. The elderly could not escape their suffering. Death had not disappeared by accident. A mortal king had chained him inside a room. That king was Sisyphus. He would cheat death once with iron chains. Then he would cheat the underworld with a funeral trick. But the gods eventually created a punishment he could never escape. One stone, one mountain, one task without an ending. Sisyphus ruled the ancient city of Ephyra. Later generations knew that city as Corinth. It stood on valuable land between two seas. Merchants, travelers, and armies passed through the region. Its king was famous for intelligence and ruthless ambition. Ancient sources do not preserve one complete biography. Instead, his story survives through several connected traditions. Each version gives the gods another reason to hate him. Some writers accused Sisyphus of murdering travelers. Guests entered his kingdom expecting protection. Greek custom treated hospitality as a sacred obligation. Zeus himself guarded the rights of strangers. Sisyphus reportedly violated that law for wealth and power. Other stories focus on his endless deception. He betrayed secrets. He manipulated family members. He treated promises as weapons rather than obligations. His cleverness was impressive, but it was never innocent. The conflict that doomed him began with Zeus. Zeus desired a young woman named Aegina. She was the daughter of the river god Sisyphus. Zeus carried her away to an island. Sisyphus searched desperately for his missing daughter. Sisyphus knew what had happened. He also understood the value of that knowledge. The king did not reveal the truth from compassion. He demanded payment. Sisyphus needed a reliable spring for his city. He offered Sisyphus information in exchange for water. The river god agreed. A spring began flowing within the fortress of Corinth. Then Sisyphus named Zeus as the abductor. He had traded a divine secret for a practical advantage. The city received water. The king received the hatred of Zeus. Zeus could tolerate many crimes from mortals. Public humiliation was not one of them. He ordered death to take Sisyphus immediately. The Greeks called the personification of death Thanatos. Thanatos was not Hades. Hades ruled the dead within the underworld. Thanatos brought mortal lives to their end. He arrived carrying chains for the condemned king. Sisyphus did not attempt to overpower him. No mortal strength could defeat death directly. Instead, the king pretended to be confused. He admired the chains. Then he asked how they worked. Perhaps he questioned whether the restraints were truly secure. Thanatos demonstrated the mechanism. That was the opening Sisyphus needed. He seized the chains and fastened them around death. The captor became the prisoner. Sisyphus locked Thanatos away. Then he returned to his throne. The result reached far beyond Corinth. With death imprisoned, mortal life could not end. At first, that might sound like a miracle. Humanity had dreamed of escaping death for generations. But immortality, without healing, quickly became a nightmare. The wounded continued to suffer. The dying remained suspended between life and death. The natural order began to collapse. No one felt the problem more clearly than Ares. Ares was the god of brutal warfare. Battlefields were meant to produce death. Now, every conflict continued without conclusion. Weapons struck bodies, but no warrior entered the underworld. Ares could not enjoy a war that never finished. He searched for Thanatos and discovered the prison. The war god broke the chains. Death was free again. The first person he came to collect was Sisyphus. This time, the king could not repeat the same trick. But he had prepared another one in advance. Before Thanatos arrived, Sisyphus spoke to his wife. Her name was Merope. He ordered her not to bury his body. She must not perform the proper funeral rituals. She must not place offerings for him. To the ancient Greeks, these rites were deeply important. An unburied soul could not enter the underworld properly. Sisyphus turned his own funeral into a weapon. After his death, his spirit descended below. There he approached the rulers of the dead. Some versions name Hades. Others placed the decision before Persephone. Sisyphus presented himself as a victim of injustice. His wife had refused to honor him. His body remained neglected in the world above. He claimed he needed only a brief return. He would punish Merope and arrange the proper rites. Then he would come back willingly. The request sounded reasonable. The promise was completely false. The underworld allowed Sisyphus to return to life. Sunlight touched his face again. He felt warm air and stood inside his own kingdom. Then he ignored every promise he had made. He did not arrange a funeral. He did not return to the land of the dead. He resumed his life and ruled for many more years. Sisyphus had now escaped death twice. The first escape had trapped Thanatos. The second had deceived the rulers of the underworld. For a time, his intelligence seemed stronger than divine law. But every stolen year increased the punishment waiting below. The gods did not forget. Eventually, old age reached the king. Some accounts say Hermes was sent to seize him. The messenger god dragged Sisyphus back into the underworld. No explanation could free him again. No clever promise would earn another return. The gods needed a punishment designed for his greatest strength. Sisyphus always believed another trick could change the outcome. So they gave him a task that encouraged endless hope. He was taken to a steep mountain. A massive stone waited at its base. Sisyphus had to push the stone toward the summit. The weight strained every part of his body. His feet slipped against the ground. His hands pressed against the rough surface. Slowly, the stone moved upward. Every step made the slope more difficult. Yet the summit always remained visible. It appeared close enough to reach. That detail made the punishment crueler. If success looked impossible, Sisyphus might surrender. Instead, the mountain allowed him to believe. Perhaps one more effort would complete the task. Perhaps this attempt would be different. He pushed until the stone approached the top. Then the balance changed. The stone escaped his hands. It rolled past him with unstoppable force. It crashed back to the bottom. Sisyphus watched every moment of progress disappear. Then he walked down the mountain. The stone was waiting. He placed his hands against it again. There was no final attempt. There was no completed task. There was no rest after failure. The punishment continued forever. Why was this sentence chosen for Sisyphus? At first, the answer seemed simple. He challenged death and violated the authority of Zeus. He needed to learn that mortals could not escape divine order. But the stone also reflected his entire life. Every trick produced a temporary victory. Every victory delayed rather than erased the consequence. He gained water for Corinth, but angered Zeus. He chained Thanatos, but damaged the mortal world. He escaped the underworld, but guaranteed a harsher return. Sisyphus was always moving upward. He was always about to win. Then everything collapsed behind him. The myth also confronts humanity's fear of death. Most people understand why Sisyphus wanted to survive. Death is the boundary no clever person can negotiate forever. Sisyphus refused to accept that limit. His resistance made him admirable to some later readers. It also made him dangerous. When Thanatos was chained, Sisyphus did not create paradise. He created suffering without release. The story warns that death has a place within life. Removing it does not automatically remove pain. The stone gained new meanings over the centuries. It became a symbol of exhausting and repetitive labor. People still describe pointless work as Sisyphean. The word means effort that must constantly begin again. Factories, offices, wars, and daily routines all found reflections there. The French writer Albert Camus offered another interpretation. He saw Sisyphus as an image of the human condition. Human beings search for meaning in an indifferent universe. We build, lose, struggle, and begin again. The world does not promise that our effort will last. For Camus, recognizing that truth could create a strange freedom. Sisyphus knows the stone will fall. The gods can control the mountain and the task. They cannot completely control his inner response. This philosophical Sisyphus differs from the ancient criminal king. But both versions share the same mountain. Both ask what remains when success becomes impossible. Does endless failure destroy all meaning? Or can meaning exist inside the effort itself? The ancient myth offers no comforting answer. It leaves Sisyphus beneath the same stone. His intelligence cannot unlock the mountain. His strength cannot defeat gravity. His promises cannot persuade the gods again. For the first time, Sisyphus faces a problem without a trick. That may be the true punishment. The stone is heavy. The mountain is steep. But the worst part is the memory of almost succeeding. Each climb creates hope. Each fall turns hope into another instrument of pain. Sisyphus once placed death in chains. He once walked out of the underworld alive. He proved that even divine systems could be deceived temporarily. But temporary victory was never freedom. Every road eventually led him back below. Now the man who refused to accept an ending has none. He pushes. The stone rises. The stone falls. And the cleverest king in Greece begins again.